It's time for your number one NAIA men's basketball podcast to begin, as the Road to Muni podcast with Junior and Coach Lubbers begins now.
Joining us today on the Road to Muni podcast is LSU-Alexandria head coach Dimario Jackson. Coach, welcome to the show.
Man, I thank y'all for having me, man. It's a blessing to be on here. I always start these things off by giving honor to God and, just blessing the people that allow me to be a blessing to someone else.
Well, I know year two coming in as the head coach of the Generals, and last year you guys came in and you took over, and I know it was a little slow going at the start of the year, but you guys finished with a bang and ended up winning the Red River Athletic Conference title, and then went off to the Nationals, and a little bit different start to the year. I think we can start maybe with that conversation. A little bit different start as far as expectations go. You only want to talk about that and how maybe the conversations have started with your team, maybe from last year compared to this year, now that those expectations are there for you guys. And maybe you guys had expectations for yourselves, but maybe the conversation nationally is expectations are there as you guys have changed, because now you're the favorites to win the league and all that.
Yeah. For us, man, we still have a solid taste in our mouths from going to Kansas last year and losing to Bethel, which was a great team. They was well coached. They were a better fit to win that game. But we still have that taste in our mouths. And it's shown over our preseason work. Guys got here on campus and immediately got to work. The level of focus that's been within our team since they got here is just different. You can just tell the differences from last year when my staff and I first got here to this year, where guys got here and just immediately like, Coach, what you got for us? So we have our own expectations. So, we're very appreciative of, being in the top 10 in the country and having an expectation from the RRAC to win the conference. But that's already our expectation. Those are already the goals that we have wrote on the board. We have 3 goals. Our goal is to win the regular season. Our goal is to win the conference tournament, and our goal is to win the national championship. My staff and I, we're trying to build a dynasty here. So with that being said, you have to have not just talented guys, but you have to have the right guys in the locker room to check all 3 of those boxes. Last year we had a really good basketball team, but we didn't check all 3 of them. We wanted to check 3 out of the 3 boxes, but by the grace of God, we was able to check 2 of those boxes, which was a huge step for us being in year 1. So year 2, man, we've been talking about just building on year 1.
Coach, talk a little bit about, you said, the right guys for you, right? You're coming in last year, first year, and now you're going into year 2, right? I mean, the right guys for you, who are those guys? What do they look like? How did you make the roster better this year than it was last year? That's not to minimize anybody from last year, but you know what I'm saying. How did you continue to improve, and what's the right guy look like for you?
The right guy for us is a guy that could win in 3 phases, in this order. A guy that could win in the classroom, a guy that could win in the community, and a guy that could win on the basketball floor. What's winning? Winning for us is overachieving. My head assistant, Coach Dwayne, he talks about that a lot, of not just achieving, but overachieving. A guy that's never satisfied. A guy that's maybe a 3.5 student in the classroom, but he's striving to be a 4.0 student. A guy that's a 2.5 that's striving to be a 3.0. So the exact answer to that question is a guy that always wants more. A guy that's never satisfied. Cassie Nat, who's, to me, is probably the best player in the country. I bet you if I bring the camera in the gym right now, he's probably either in the gym or in the weight room, or he's probably in the study hall room. That's a guy that wants more, always want more, and it just becomes contagious in the locker room, where I don't want to be the guy that's not trying to overachieve.
Yeah. No, that's great. And also, I'm curious. I love this. I said this to Junior before you got on. I never met you before, but I know some of your counterparts in the league. But I do know this: winners win, right?
They do.
And winners win and losers lose. And you are coming from high school and making the jump into college. And I know you won in high school, and
Yeah.
right away you're winning in college. So tell me about that. I mean, some things don't change either, right? Some of those ingredients, just the players are bigger, stronger, faster. But tell us a little bit about that transition from high school into the college world.
Well, it's funny you asked me that because I was talking to, and I won't give the guy a name. I was talking to a young man that's a student manager at a Division I right now, and he asked me that same exact question. But before he could even ask, I was already answering him by saying it wasn't that big of a transition for me because it was instilled in me to prepare for where you're going. So when you get there, you don't have to get prepared.
Yeah.
So my message to young coaches and to coaches that aspire to be head coaches or head coaches that aspire to be a head coach on a higher level. Well, at Port Allen High School, I was already preparing to be the head coach at LSU-A. And I'm just using those two schools because those are the two schools that correlate for me. But my preparations didn't start when I got to LSU-A. My preparation started before I even got in college, period. Now, again, I always give honor to God and just give him his credit. I didn't know that I would get a chance to start as a college head coach, especially being probably one of the youngest at any level in the country. But I know ultimately where I wanted to be and where I want to go with my dreams and my plans for not just me but my family as well.
Coach, I know starting off, you listed off a couple of those players, and one you got a cash back that you brought up. One of three All Americans, first team All Americans, returning across the country. Obviously, one of the best players one of the best returning players in the country. And you add to it, you guys are bringing back a player that you haven't coached before, but the general fan base will know pretty well. And and a former All American
Yeah.
that went around to D2 level for a little bit in Jacob Abney, but really really good player. Was an All American 2 years ago, and he returns a really fun duo there. I think that could be one of the best duos or one of the better duos in the country as you guys bring him back to the Generals. One of the things I always thought was unique, and just a side note here, is that Louisiana kids love Louisiana. I want to make sure that people know that. So
Yeah.
Louisiana guys love Louisiana, and I think that you being a high school coach down there, it's a very proud thing for Louisiana kids, and I think that you can maybe allude on that too. But man, I know these kids, and I know you guys brought over another kid back from Louisiana Shreveport that's coming back. It was a freshman of the year a couple years back too. But man, it's just cool to see some of these kids not only return. But I know that I know when he went over to Mississippi for D2, but Abney's a hell of a player too. But you want to talk about maybe some of these Louisiana kids too that you guys are able to keep local. And I think that's some of the talent that is in Louisiana in general. That I always thought kind of got overlooked, down there as well. But and that's why a lot of you Louisiana schools are so good. There's so many dang good players down there. But also they like to stay close to home, and they're so proud to stay close to home too and represent Louisiana. But two, just the combo of some of those guys coming back and representing the Generals, which is going to add to why you guys are the favorites to win the Red River Athletic Conference this year.
I mean, just speaking on cash first, man. He's talking about, as good of a basketball player as he really is, even better young man. And a young man that you would say, man, you already All American. What you all see in the games, we get a chance to see that every day at practice. So the same 10 or 11 rebounds he averaged last year, he get them same 10 or 11 in practice. And we have this saying, and it's cliche. What you put in is what you get out. what you do in practice is what you're gonna be in the game. I think Coach Prime talk about that a lot. And he bring it every day. And like I was just saying, as good of a basketball player as he is, he's still a young man that's doing what he's supposed to do in the classroom, upholding himself the right way. Everybody on campus loves him, and it's not because of his basketball talents, but just the character and the mantra around that young man, and some of the changes that he's made, and how he's grown as not just a basketball player, but as an individual over the years. I was actually telling a coach last night. I think Cash is probably better now than he was last year. And that's scary. And he can handle me saying this. I truly believe that he'll have an even better year this year. And I think, which leads me to my next point. By having, you bring in a Jakeem, and I'm gonna talk about the guys we signed, and then I'll get to the returners. You bring in a Jakeem who was once an All-American here, who also shared the floor with Cat. So there's already some camaraderie around those two.
Mm-hmm.
Jakeeman has came in, and he's taken on what we've given him, and he's thrived in it. And I think he's better for it. You bring in a Jordan DeCreer that you talked about from LSU-S, who's Jordan DeCreer won at the high school level. He's won at the college level by being with S. So along with his talent, he brings in that experience of winning. And as I talked to Kevin about earlier, about bringing in guys that, that's winners, and not just winners in the on the basketball floor, but in the classroom and in the community as well. You bring in a Caleb Pouncey who comes from Kilgore. All they do is win over there. You bring in a Bryce who came from Fort Scott, who's a winner. Who am I leaving out? You bring in Nick who comes from McMain High School, won the state championship, went to Bossier Parish. He's a winner. You bring in Braden Thompson, coming from Midland, from Shreveport, from the Louisiana area, kid that get a chance to come back and play in front of his family and play in Louisiana, and just representing that Louisiana things and stuff that you were just talking about. And then you bring in Jace Tolliver and Kyrie Haynes, two guys who's been in winning programs that's been coached. And then we return 5 of our 6 all-conference guys. You bring back out there Howard, who was freshman of the year point guard, who's gotten better, gotten stronger, got that experience underneath his belt. You bring back Elliot McQuillan, who probably could have been in the running with Isaiah for freshman of the year had he done something to his MCL last year, so he had to miss 4 games. He's taken a tremendous jump. So as much as we talk about Cash and Jakeem, EJ, and y'all know him as Elliott, but EJ is going to take that next jump, who could very well be a threat to be in the upper ranks and close to the All-American status.
Yeah.
Jason Perry, who we returned, who was second team All-Conference last year. Who I'm missing? Xavier Smith, who played big-time minutes for us. So all in all, to say that Terrence James, who played late in the stretch, he had a key game versus Shreve in the semifinals in the conference last year. So you got a good balance of returners who understand the program, and then new guys who are winners and coming in understanding that we're trying to take the next jump and make a run at winning the national championship, as well as still winning conference and winning the conference tournament. So we have a really great nucleus. And then I like to give a special shout out to my staff, my assistant coach, my head assistant coach Dwayne, and my other assistant coach Alyssa, who's done a tremendous job of getting these guys ready for the season. They are completely in control of our off-season program, and man, those guys are in shape. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. So that's just a testament to what's going on in our program.
Yeah, and I'll just we'll close up shop here shortly, but I think it's really fun, and I know Coach Lubbers, he can jump in on Xavier especially, but I think that this is a fun look at the Red River. I think not that it's um I don't want to say it's been down because that's the wrong word, but in 2018, 19, 20, this league had several top 10
Yeah.
teams in the league. And I think it's been a very good conference as of late, but I think we could see that again this year where
Mm-hmm.
Shreveport and Alexandria, I mean Shreveport's loaded with talent again.
Yeah.
And Xavier's back to where they are long, athletic, and we all know they're going to play defense. I mean, they're going to be top 10 defensively in almost every metric out there. But they're back to and again, this is all on paper. We haven't played a single game this year, so we're going off of preseason on paper stuff.
Right.
But when you look at the traditional Xavier teams that have just been so good in the past, he's always so good at having like 6'4", 6'5" length athletes, and then 6'7", 6'8" inside that just guard the crap out of you, and he's so good at defending you. So you have a Xavier team that's gonna be probably right around fringe top 20 to top 25 team, and then you have a Southwest team that made it all the way to the Red River Athletic Conference title game last year that returns almost everybody too. And I just felt like again, I want to emphasize as people are listening here that's on paper,
Right.
but as you look at the conference on paper, it just has that feel to it a little bit that as the Red River Athletic Conference is going to be back to 5-6 years ago where you're going to be several teams in the top 25 again, and it's going to be a brutal league.
Yeah.
And it'll pay off for everybody in the league as you turn the corner and look for national tournament bids down here in February to March.
Well, I think even last year, I think the league was really good.
Yep.
I think kind of was really just as brutal because, like, if you look at LCU's record, and shout out to Coach Mason, man, I think he does a
Yeah.
really good job. I think they were the one that finished last, I believe. But if you go back and you look at box scores, a couple possessions here and there, that could have very well been different. So saying that to say, even with the new school coach Dial, he's going to do a great job over there at San Antonio.
Yep.
And
He
those
always,
schools just stick out. I mean, but going back
yeah.
as far as the league overall, I think last year, like every game, it was no game is a walk in the park because even the teams that were at the bottom, they were still good enough to beat you, and I think it only has enhanced for this year. So, and as competitors, that's the way you want it, because once you get to you're fortunate enough to get to the national tournament, then at that point everybody's good. But once you're accustomed in our league, you're going to be accustomed to playing good teams on a night in and night out basis. So it becomes a habit of having to bring it every night.
Yeah, I'll be watching my guy Coach Williams over at Xavier, and you go at it here this year. I will be for sure. So no, he's a good friend of mine, but I love watching your success too, and your conference is fun to watch. Not only, what I love is when I talk to a lot of the coaches in your league, especially. Again, I don't know if it's in the Louisiana water or what it is, but just the way that you all approach kids and approach the job and think about the bigger picture beyond just basketball for these guys. And I know that's one of the things I really admire about him and his program over at Xavier. And it sounds like a similar theme with you is, this isn't just about basketball. I mean, you got a lot of great kids doing great things in the classroom and in the communities, and those kids are going to then carry that back to either their hometowns or wherever they end up working. And it's going to be a great reflection on the work that you poured into them. So I commend you for that. I love that about y'all. So.
For me, I don't look at it as a job. This is my ministry.
Yeah.
This is what God called me to do. So that's why it's a little bit more, it means a little bit more for me than just winning a basketball game. We tell those guys all the time, we're going to win. Because as you said earlier, winners win. But my win is seeing a Jadarian Allen who was first team all conference last year. My biggest win was watching him walk across that stage and receive his degree. And then still to this day, he and I talk at least once every 2 weeks. and he always just say, "Coach, man, I thank you."
Yeah, I was going to say the bigger win,
Yeah.
that's coming for you, and you're on the younger side. I'm burnt wood in the pot here. I'm older, but the bigger win is 15 years from now when he's still calling you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fun, that's the good stuff. So, hats off to you, man. It's great to meet you, and happy to be rooting for you this year and know somebody else in that league. So happy to have you on the show.
I'm always open. I'm a student. I like to learn. I'm one of those ones that feel like you can learn from anybody. And that don't mean sometimes you learn the right stuff. Sometimes you learn the wrong
You
stuff.
know what not to do, right?
You
You
learn
know what not to do.
what to do, or you learning what not to do, but you still learning at the end of
Yeah.
the day. And that's
Yeah,
what's most important.
that's good, man.
Well, that's Coach Dimario Jackson, LSU-Alexandria. They open up on October 26th against heading on the road actually to Wiley.
Yes, sir.
Coach, I know a terrific first year at the helm, and wishing you all the best in year two. I'm looking forward to see the Generals play. We're tipping off here very, very soon, so best of luck to you guys this year, Coach.
Yes, sir, man. And thank y'all. Good luck to you all, and thank y'all for having us. We appreciate you all, man. Again, thank y'all for those preseason recognitions.
Yeah. Take care, Coach. Good luck this
You
year.
too.
I'll see it. Happy to have Oregon Tech head coach Justin Parnell on with us on the Road to Muni podcast. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's good to be on here, and you guys are awesome. You know what you do for NAIA basketball. I know we're all out here on the West Coast. We follow it, and you shine a light on NAIA basketball, and we appreciate it so much.
Well, I know you guys coming off another, you guys have such rich tradition there, but coming off another great year at Oregon Tech, and you guys were able to go out to Iowa and pick up a postseason win against Kaiser before one of the better games of the opening round. Unfortunately, you guys fell a little short to a very good Northwestern team in the second round there. But the good news for you guys is you almost returned nearly everybody, heading into this season. You want to talk about maybe start there, maybe what you guys can take from the last year and the postseason, and then two, just kind of looking forward to this year with returning to everybody and maybe the expectations of the carrying over those expectations into the preseason and how the workouts and stuff have been going from last year into this year.
Yeah, it was a great experience going out, to Iowa. Northwestern did a great job with that opening round, and we were kind of on a roll going in there. We had just won our conference tournament, went on the road to LC and College of Idaho for the conference title. And so, we went in there with a lot of confidence. And that first game against Kaiser, we felt really good going into that game. We thought we had a good game plan. We realized we get down 19-3 and maybe the game plan wasn't so good. We made some mistakes on Bobo Sermons, and I think he had 12 or 14 really early. But this group, throughout their career, because we've had these guys and they played a lot of minutes, and since they were young as freshmen, and even when they were young, they always have a comeback in them. Really resilient group. Last year, I think we came back from down 17 three times and won. So you knew there was something left in them, and they did a really good job coming back in that game. And that first round game is always super difficult. We were watching Northwestern play the first game. There's 2,000 fans in there, and then 20 minutes later, there's about 12 people in the building. So it went from super chaotic to just quiet, and so we were able to get through that one. And the next night against Northwestern, I thought we played really well. We're up 12 with 8 to go, and Alex Van Kalsbeek happened. He's really good, and we found out. I thought we did a really good job on him for the majority of the game, and good players make big plays down the stretch, and he beat us late, but we had our chances. I think we forced a really tough shot with about 30 seconds to go that they did hit. We had a great look. It's the way it goes. They're a good team that was really well coached, but I think coming into this year, it's the second time in the last 3 years that we've missed out on Kansas City by one possession. And I think these guys, now that they're fifth year, either just regular seniors or fifth year seniors, they know that, every possession matters. They've lived it. And, I just think there's a lot of things we did well last year, but I think if these guys coming in to, their super senior year, their senior year, they know that possessions matter, especially at the end of games. And we were really fortunate last year. I think we were 11-2 in one possession, or possession games under 2 possessions. So they had a ton of success, but they do know that if you want to there's a big difference between being a pretty good team and getting to be a Kansas City team, right? And I think it's those possessions at the end of the game that, we maybe have had a little more focus on that defensive end this year in the preseason. But we got a lot of experience back. We have 3 guys who have started over 50 games in their career. I think we have a transfer, so we have 6 guys who have started over 35 games in the NAIA in their career, and there's no substitute for experience. So we're trying to stay healthy. We're trying to get better, and I think we have. We were able to score it really well last year. We were, the most efficient offensive team we've had in the history of the program. I just think, we don't have to be a phenomenal defensive team, but we got to be pretty dang good. And last year, I just think we were, on that good side. So big focus this year in the preseason. I think we've gotten better, and now we're just at that point where, we need to start playing games.
You do get to that point, right? You're like, okay, we could drill it some more. You almost kind of get that decline almost, right? It's time to see somebody else. And what's the preseason been like for you guys? I mean, what's practice been like? What's the tone? I sense the theme there, right? One possession does matter. Y'all say that, right? From the time they're freshmen, it's like, it only took 4 years and some change for that actually to kick in, right? But what's the tone been? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, the tone. It's been a pretty intense preseason. I think we've tried to balance having a lot of older guys and not just killing them, and so we've probably taken more days off than we ever have. In the past, maybe we're, 6 days a week for 6 weeks. We've gone a lot of 5 days, and sometimes 4 days a week. But, it's been a pretty intense, when we step on the floor and we have practice, our guys are bringing it. And I think that's just experience. We have great leadership. We have so many guys that have been part of the program for so long. They know what it takes, and they now have seen, to take that next step where you have to be. So, it's been a really competitive preseason. I think our younger guys are at a better spot now to push these guys. We had an inter-squad scrimmage the other night, and it's kind of the theme of our team. Our top group got down 16, and with 5 minutes to go, they came back and won. But our younger guys have been able to push us. I think last year, if we had a knock on us, it was, we were 7-8 deep, pretty good. But it was our 9, 10, 11 where we just weren't good enough. And that hurt us because guys had to play a lot of minutes. And, you look at our games, we get up, we give away that lead. We would get so tired and expend so much energy, and we didn't have those reserves coming in. I think this year, those young guys have stepped up, and, they'll be much more prepared to compete at this level.
Well, Coach, I know, I think you guys have a unique situation that I think others don't. I'll bring it up. You have an All-American assistant coach that, not just an All-American, but a pretty dang good All-American, and Mitchell Fink. And I think it really shows just in your guard play.
Yep.
You want to talk about, just kind of what he means and how he's been able to help your guards, especially I think that, especially when it comes down to some of those 1 and 2 possession games you talk about, just how, with Jameson and Cam and guys like that, just, what Mitchell's been able to do for their game, but also just for your team in general.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Mitch was an unbelievable player. He's one of those guys who just makes it easy on you as a coach. Into shot clock, into game, that you don't have to make a decision. You know where the ball's going, and you maybe throw a ball screen in there, or you just let him go win it for you. But you can tell since he's coming into his 3rd year, he came in at the perfect time for guys like Jamison Guerra, Cam Osborne. They are super skilled, and I think Cam has always been really skilled, and he's a guy that I think is extremely underrated because he's a little bit passive. He lets game come to him. He's a great teammate. He's a distributor. But Jamison kind of got that killer instinct from Mitch, and you see a lot of similarities in their game. And Mitch spends a lot of time with him. I'm so thankful he came back, because if there's one part of coaching that I maybe don't like it's all of the individual workouts. It's the 4 hours of individuals all day, and then you got to go get ready for practice. And Mitch has kind of taken that on. He's done a great job, and you're 100% right. You can see it in Jamison and Cam, and this level, there's a lot of different ways to win, but having a really, really good guard is my favorite way.
Yeah, I gotta have a good guard play. And I thought really, that was, what I thought it was really fun to watch you guys late. And I thought that was especially, you know, well, for people that don't know a lot about the Cascade, you guys obviously travel a lot out there, and you guys maybe made two of the tougher road trips to go get two big W's in the conference tournament last year. One of the hardest ones, obviously, in the title game at College of Idaho. Going there and winning. I think they've maybe lost maybe 6-7 times in the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know what the exact number is, but hasn't happened very often. And you got to have good guard play to go do that. And I thought those two obviously came about big for you guys. But I know all the way across the board. I know you guys got obviously you've talked about a ton of returns. I know one kid that I just want to kind of touch base on, and is a kid that played pretty well for you guys in a few minutes. He was he was very productive, and I think you guys are expecting big things for him. And I think maybe you were kind of alluding to that a little bit earlier when you're talking about maybe stepping up and this year. But Jackson Cooper's a kid as a sophomore. I believe is a kid that you guys are pretty high on. Really did good in few minutes this year or last year, and I think this year maybe playing a little bit bigger role and can help out a lot at 6'7" as a sophomore that can maybe have a bigger year.
Yeah, he's a special player. I think he's probably one of the better players we've been able to recruit, since I've been here as head coach. He's 6'7". He's our best passer, one of our best passers. He can handle the ball. He can score around the rim. He's a great defensive player, 1 through 5. And I think the challenge was, how do we find more minutes for him? Because we have Blake Jensen, who's just, a working man's big. He's just tough. He finishes. I always joke with him. He's the best big. Can't pass, can't shoot, can't dribble, but he is our most important player. And I'd tell him that if he was right here. He is so tough, and he makes every right decision, every right read. And, if I had a big like him every year I coached, we'd be really good because he's just that, and he's phenomenal. But Coop is so much different to where, Coop's got a little more baller in him. He's, he can do a lot of different things. And, the hard part for him is Coop's good enough to start for us. He probably should start for us. But Blake is the guy that we know, night in and night out, we're gonna count on. So how do we get Coop to play more minutes at other positions? And so we're gonna play him as a 4, as the 5, and try to get him. He should be playing as many minutes as anybody on our team coming off the bench. And I do think he's ready now to. I think he's one of the best players in the Cascade Conference. I truly believe that, just because of everything that he can do. And, if he learns to shoot the ball at a pretty good percentage, he might be hard to keep here. He's just one of those guys that's just special. And he's an even better kid. So, you'd think as a sophomore, big-time recruit like he was for us, coming off the bench now, he'd be a little bit upset. He's not. He's the same kid every day. And he knows his role, and he knows he's going to get the minutes, whether that's coming off the bench and playing multiple positions or starting.
When you think about kids that fit, I like to ask coaches this, think about kids that fit at your school and in your program with your style. Like what does that look like if I'm out there and I'm a high school kid or transfer, thinking about your school? Like what matters when you look at me and you talk to us about kids?
Yeah, I mean, the normal things that everybody's going to say, right? The high character. Here it's a little different. You have to be pretty strong academically. It's a pretty high academic institution. So, really, we can't take many chances academically. And they'll say, well, what GPA do you need? Well, it is true. Like, well, how good is he? That's the first thing. But you do have to be a pretty good student to come here. I think honestly, the number one thing outside of the obvious ones is, how good of a teammate is he? Because, we're the type program where we get up and down. We play fast. We're going to play, 10 guys, maybe sometimes 11. So we want to know how good of a teammate he is. Is he going to be all right playing 24 minutes instead of 32? Is that going to be a problem? If that's a problem, we're probably going to go the other direction. We want kids who really want to be part of something special. And then from the physical side, our wings, we need wings that are big. We want big wings because we're never, I will not recruit the 6'10" slow kids and I know that works for some people that don't play as fast. I get it. But for us, we need guys who can switch 1 through 5, that can rim run. So we need our wings a little bigger. We need physical big wings, 3-and-D type. And then from there on, I really like to go kind of 2 guards, 2 wings, and a big. And those 2 guards really have to be able to score it. We want to put a lot of pressure on teams because, there's always really one great defender on a team. The really good teams have 2 or 3. But, we've had a lot of success with 2 guards that can put a lot of pressure on people, surrounded by, a couple really good shooters and a big who can rebound. So that's kind of what we look for.
Yeah. I like go back in time. It's like a time machine exercise here, but I still love the idea of taking a group of guys from the mountains and a group of guys from the beaches and what Chief is bringing up there, and you guys meeting in Iowa and having it out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more cool than that, which just fun to think about. I mean, all the different options that kids have, and you can think about different styles and coaches, but there's also locations and stuff, and you got a pretty cool one too there where you're at. So
yeah, it's unique. We're high desert, 4,600 feet, real small town. And it's funny, the kids that we recruit the Portland metro area of Oregon really hard, and those kids that come down from the city absolutely love it here. They get to see snow, no traffic, life's not as busy, and a lot of them leave here and they don't want to go back, because they've enjoyed the small town life. But it is funny, the differences, and Palm Beach, Florida, or Falls, Oregon. And we actually stayed in the same hotel as Kaiser and got to talk to those guys a lot. They do a really good job.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, we'll stand by it. One of my favorite point guard matchups, I think of all, and definitely of the tournament, maybe of the entire year last year, though. I know for the first few minutes of the tournament, maybe you didn't agree with it, but Bobo and Jameson were man, I will watch that game over and over and over again. It was a lot of fun. 2 of the better guards in the country. I'm glad that we get to, maybe see it again this year, but I'm glad that we at least get to watch them both play in different games all year again this year, because 2 really, really good players. But yeah, definitely different upbringings as well. As Bobo was definitely on the beach life as well. But
I was super impressed with him. It's not that I underestimated him all. I knew he was really good, but we were trying to go under a lot of stuff. We were so worried about his quickness, and I remember the days leading up to it, Jameson was looking at me like he wasn't completely bought in on it, but he did. I think he banged 3 threes in the first 90 seconds. And
can we go over now, Coach? Can we get over the screen now?
Listen to me now,
Are you done with this? Are you done with this song? Isn't that funny until you get older kids right on your roster and they've been playing for a minute? They can look at you with that side eye and you're like, yeah, you're probably right. We should have done that.
They hit the first one. He's looking at you like, hey, give it one more.
Funny. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But no, and Coach, we, definitely need to can't end the call without at least talking about the Cascade a little bit. Obviously, one of the best leagues, if not the best leagues in the country, and a couple years removed from College of Idaho winning another national title, but always seems to have a team or 2 making a deep run in the national tournament, and positioned once again to have 2 or 3 teams with you guys, Lois Clark State and the College of Idaho, seemingly to be the 3 favorites again. Primed to make another deep run this year. All 3 loaded with talent again. Outside of the long road trips that you guys take each year, you want to talk about the league a little bit, and just your thoughts on not just the teams, but also just what it means to prepare you guys for when you guys do get to the national tournament.
Yeah, I can't underestimate our travel, and I know for some it's probably hard to understand, but we actually had a fundraising dinner the other night, and I talked about it. So we were fortunate between the conference regular season and the conference tournament. We beat every single team on the road last year, and what that took was 112 hours on the bus and 23 nights in hotels. That's that's our travel. So we have multiple, and not just us, everybody has these. We have multiple 10-hour trips in their Friday, Saturday games. We have more 8-hour trips. The College of Idaho Eastern Oregon trip is unbelievable. It's 9 hours to Eastern Oregon if you play them first. You play at 7:30 at night, and then you drive that night all the way to College of Idaho, which is about 2.5, 3 hours. So you're getting in at 2 a.m. You turn around and play at 5 p.m. the next night. Then you have 8 hours home. So it's just a bear travels, just a bear. Our shortest trips, 3.5 hours. Next shortest is 5. But, everybody has to do it in our league, and you're traveling through snow and weather. I think, for our league, I'm biased, and of course I should be in our league, and I was a Raider for a long time. I think our league, when we were split divisions, was really fairly rated. And as we went one division, I know there was a lot of frustration from our league, but sitting on those committees, it's hard. And there's a lot of good teams, and people had to understand that those Division I teams we merged with are good. They are really good. Yeah. And I think that was an adjustment for everybody in our league. That was, this is, why are we not getting the respect that we should be? And it's like, well, you got to understand, we added all these teams in here, and they're better. They're better than the majority of our league. So I still think the Cascade, I'll be honest, I don't think we're a top 1 or 2 league in the country, but I think we're a really, really good league. And if you're in that top 4 of the Cascade, you can compete in the national tournament. I think 4 out of the last 5 years, we've had a team either in the national title game or the Final Four. We lost in 19 when it was 2 divisions. C of I, won it a couple of years ago. LC State lost to Shawnee State in the national championship game. So, if you're good enough to compete in that top 3 or 4 of our league, you're good enough to make a deep run. But I do think there is an adjustment period for our league, learning how to schedule, and beef up RPIs. I know that's been a huge complaint as our league, being more of a top-heavy league. The bottom half of the league can impact that RPI and strength of schedule. So we've had a lot of talks as coaches of beefing up our non-conference and helping each other out a little bit. And that's still an ongoing thing for us, but you got to be a participant in your own rescue. If you want to have a better RPI and strength schedule, then you got to play better teams. And but I love our league. I love the travel. I love the facilities we play in, and there's nothing like a home game at Oregon Tech in front of 2,000, or at C of I Eastern. LC State has an awesome facility. So and some really good coaches. I think Colby has obviously done a great job at C of I. Austin, same thing at LC State. And, Chris Kemp's really kept it going at Eastern Oregon, and Matt Zosel at Southern. But I think the team this year in our league, this could be a little bit underrated, is Corbin. I think Taylor Kelly does an awesome job. 2 years ago, they almost beat Arizona Christian at Arizona Christian in the opening round. I mean, they had them. Mm-hmm. And Arizona Christian, kind of flexed their muscles at the end. But I think that's a team that is kind of, we talk about being, top 3 are going to be really good this year. I think Corbin is 100% in that discussion.
It's awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. I know we're a couple weeks here away from your guys' first game as you guys head out to the Carroll Classic on November 1st and November 2nd. But we are wishing you guys and the Owls the best of luck this season. I know coming off, like I said, a terrific season last year, and I know with everybody back, wishing you guys the best of luck this season as you guys look to get back to the national tournament and hopefully finally get to a Kansas City trip. So hopefully we'll see you there, but wishing you guys the best of luck this year.
Appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, we've been a possession away twice. We're hungry, so we'd like to come back there and meet you guys in person.
Take care, Coach.
Thanks for having me on.
Yep, see ya.